Monday podcast. Robert Scroggins here, your host. Today I have the pleasure of talking with David and Jonathan. I met both these gentlemen. They were introduced to me through the Project Monday outreach program. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Our pleasure.
So let's start off by getting to know each other a little bit better. So Jonathan, we'll start with you. You want to give me a little bit of an introduction, introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your journey.
Sure.
Ultimately, like what your highest weight was, what your current weight is, and how long have you been on your transformation?
Definitely. I'm 51. I've been working on my weight and my overall health for the last 25 months, 26 months. It became obvious when I was well over 400 pounds that I needed to make a change and get my act together. In the last couple of years, I've been focused primarily first on losing weight, and then trying to be active and learning different ways to be active.
Great, awesome.
Sure. So I'll be 41 next month. I have spent the better part of my life being overweight. I'm 6'5". I was over 400 pounds. I made a decision to have weight loss surgery and went and had that done in July of 2022. It wasn't happening any other way. I've lost a ton of weight. I'm focusing on being active, eating right, and, getting my body into, functional state where I can do, pretty much anything. Strength training, walking, eating right, and getting my head straight.
Awesome. Well, I've had the pleasure of watching and talking with y'all on multiple occasions and seeing your journey and how it progressed. And I am inspired by y'all as well. So thank you very much for all the trust that you put in me and the openness and the guidance that we've shared back and forth. I think that we all benefit.
I think that's great, Robert. Why don't you tell everybody about you, not just us? You're the third spoke in this wheel, so go for it.
Yeah. 47 years old. I've been on my journey for just at 36 months now. My highest weight was between 333 and 338, depending on what tracking app I was using at the time. So I usually say it's about 333. I am currently down to 212 pounds. I've had a unique journey. So it started off with, my wife getting sick and tired of being sick and tired and actually starting a journey herself. And so for the first 6 months to a year, I just watched her take and work out and eat right as I was being a slob on the couch and just kind of cheering her on. One day her energy level shot up from 30% to 100%. And I realized, wow, I got to make some changes for myself if I'm going to take and be a good husband. And so, as I normally do, I just kind of folded into what she was doing and struggled for the first year because I didn't ask for help. I didn't search for help. I just try to go to the gym. I just tried to eat right, doing calorie counting. And it wasn't until I hit a significant stall that lasted about 4.5 months before I finally asked her for help. And she introduced me to macro counting. And since then, my life has changed. It's been a whirlwind. It's been an amazing journey. Body dysmorphia is a real son of a bitch. So, even as I look at myself now, and some days I feel like I'm just thin and lean and well built, and other days I feel like that I still have a lot more to go. And in reality, my journey has been so inspirational to myself, knowing that I was able to achieve this, that being able to share this through the Project Monday experience has been gratifying. But more importantly than that, it's allowed me to meet individuals such as yourselves, where lifelong relationships are formed, bonds that transcend, more normal relationships, simply because we understand what it takes to get to where we went from and to, and that is a mental game, and it changes your perspective about a lot of things in life. At least from my perspective.
Hugely
Agreed.
mental. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask y'all a question. Y'all both, every journey is individualized. Was there a specific moment that moved you from where you were to the success you found thus far?
David, you go first.
Um, yeah. So I don't know, October 2021, I was admitted to the hospital. I couldn't breathe. They told me I had some heart failure. And yeah, I could see how that would play out. And, I've been married to my wife. We've been together for 7 years. We got married in the middle of the pandemic, and we're trying to start a family. And I wouldn't be much use to her dead or carrying around an oxygen machine, you know. And you know, my weight's always been a thing, but the number one way to get healthier is to lose some weight. And I tried on my own for years, and I yo-yoed, or it didn't work. And I made the choice that it took me 10 years to make the choice to have bariatric surgery. It's not for everybody, and it's a long, hard think. It worked for me short term. We'll see how well I do long term, but I'm optimistic. Um, and I had real bad diabetes. I don't take diabetes medicine anymore. But that was the one thing. They were like, yeah, so this is going to be a progressive disease. And I was like, great, if I can lose 50 or 70 pounds, it'll save my life. And I'm 8 months out, and I've lost 130, and I've got another 80, 90 to go. So yeah.
That's a good awakening story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we all had the same story, just in different places, right?
That was
So
after beating cancer, right?
that
Like
was
that wasn't enough. And
no, cancer wasn't enough, I guess.
right.
You win. Okay, I draw
Oh,
my cards.
stop. Come
Just
on. Come
it's a
on.
competition of how fucked up we were. Exactly.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
Right.
let's all throw our money on the table and say who had the most fucked up life before they lost weight and what made them turn around. I think that's the better way. Um, uh, it's funny. I think each one of us has the same exact story. We can take out names and we can take out sicknesses, or we can take out moments and dates when we had that the awakening, let's say. Um, but really, it's like an addiction, right? An addiction for food, or addiction to eating, or an addiction to maybe not taking care of ourselves. I'm not sure which one it is exactly, because they're all somehow connected. But I guess when we all hit rock bottom is when we decide that it's time to make a change. Otherwise, it's not going to end well. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to end in death. It's just going to end in sickness and in pain, or with struggle. Mine was a bit different. Um, I had struggled with my weight my whole life, up and down, yo-yo. There have been times I had lost significant amounts of weight on my own, and then gained back that plus more, right? Starting from the time I was 17 or 18, where I lost over 100 pounds and gained back 150 in my late 20s and early 30s, and then lost, 80 and gained back 120, and then lost 120 and gained back 150, and on and on and on and on. And at what point do you realize like enough is enough? And for me, there was probably a domino effect, I guess, of sicknesses or illnesses, terrible back problems and slip discs and sciatica, that stopped me from engaging in just the most simple activities. Um, and then it led into diverticulitis, and it led into sleep apnea, and it's led into a lot of different things that I think, we just say, oh, yeah, it's part of getting older. These are expected things because so many people talk about them, and they've become so common, right? I think we can say, it's like fishing the barrel with men. You could ask, 7 out of 10 men are going to tell you that they've had sleep apnea, sciatica, snoring, some sort of, gastrointestinal issue, whether it be diverticulitis or irritable bowel syndrome or something like that. But for me, it was just like it was enough. And by the time I got to 49 or close to 50, um, I just knew that it was time. I had gone through a lot of loss. I had a parent that had passed. I had another one that was passing, and was in hospice care. Um, and I was just eating my way through a lot of that struggle and that stress and that sadness. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm actually making myself sick in how I'm dealing with these problems, and I need to be healthy. And I laid out a strategy. I legitimately laid out a strategy in my head where, like, first have to lose weight and then rework how I think. I can't do it all at the same time. I have to break everything into these little pieces that I could manage better. My first step was lose weight by any means necessary. And then it was deal with your issues with food, deal with your issues with alcohol, deal with how you're feeding your serotonin levels, your endorphins, what you're chasing, how food makes you feel. And then it was deal with being active, deal with exercise, deal with getting up and moving. And every day it's something new, right? Those things pass, and then there comes new things on what do I want to achieve in the future.
Yeah, I think it's a great way that you say that, because the best way to eat an elephant is in small bites, right? So we all have um, a start, stop, continue, wash, rinse, repeat, however you want to say it, because like you, I yo-yoed for majority of my entire life, right? So I was never I was fit when I was young and then got fat when I got old. I was always the fat kid from young to my current age, or let's say the last 3 years. I still call myself fat now at some times, and I realize I'm not. I'm not that same guy. Um,
But once a fat dude, always
but
a
it's
fat dude.
funny.
That's right.
Yeah, your body responds well before your mind ever catches up to where
Mm.
you're at and your ability.
You know,
So
it's funny. I'm going to pause on that one. It's funny to say I identify as a fat man, and we can talk about lots of different communities, right? Cultural communities that identify as something that they weren't necessarily cis, right? In terms of, we have a
right.
cisgender moment, which is valid, right? But it's like, what do we identify as? We are probably all three of us on this call are identifying as fat men
Sure.
because of the trauma of being overweight for so many years.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, you and I have had a lot more one-on-one conversations than David and I have had. So I'm going to ask this a broad question here. Um, and I lost the train of thought. Right.
Well, I got a question. Can I ask a question
That
for
was terrible.
Jonathan?
Sure.
Going on your cycle, your first I have to lose weight by any means necessary, then I have to get in touch with, why am I beating myself up, moving, being more active, doing all these processes. Right. So yeah, there's always something else that gets thrown into the fold, but do you find that you actively, deliberately, or periodically go back and reassess those same core tenets that you initially focused on and think about, does that still need work, or how can I be doing it better? Or are
Every
you
day.
constantly moving forward?
No, every day reviewing the tenants, every day reviewing, re-reviewing. It's probably part of the problem on how my brain is wired and how I look at things. There's never a move on moment for me.
Okay.
So there's a lot of living behind me, not a lot of living ahead of me, unfortunately. So I re-review, at night before I go to bed, I re-review what I ate all day. I re-review my exercise. I prepare for tomorrow, what I'm going to eat in the morning, what I'm going to have for lunch, what dinner is going to be like, what my exercise routine is going to be like, how many steps can I get in, how much water, when am I going to start my water. There's not. It's a little obsessive compulsive, right? Um,
It's the rigor. It's the rigor of
which
weight
I know
loss,
is not
which
healthy.
which
I'm
applies
very
to
I'm
this.
very self aware that it's not healthy. And the vigors of the rigors of weight loss have absolutely brought it to light. I see it, but it's very comforting for me to be in that, especially um, during the struggle. Right? Yeah, I'm not out of the woods by any means. I don't I don't take it for granted where I am today. So that nervousness, that anxiety, of the past, right? What I
Sure.
mentioned earlier, the trauma of being overweight for so many years of my life motivates me to be a bit obsessive about it.
It's awesome. So I'm going to switch up the topic a little bit here and go down another rabbit hole. This is great conversation. So, what are some of the lessons you've learned while experiencing how your body responds to food and movement?
Hmm. David, would you like me to go first, or you want to take, maybe you want to write down some notes, David?
I'm winging this actually.
Yeah, yeah. Now you know you have notes over there. I know you have notes on cards. I know I have my card. Come on, I know. I'm looking. Actually, this is my daughter's study chart, but that's okay. I'm
What are we
making fun.
studying?
I'm exactly. It looks to me to be vocabulary words for history.
Oh, wonderful. Honestly, I'd like to hear this from you only because you guys have been through this journey a little bit longer than I have. I mean, I can tell you how my body responds to
no, it's
activity,
a
but
that it's okay. So I can tell you in how my body responds to food. It was pretty early on. I started identifying foods that were triggers for me. David and I have had some lengthy conversations about this actually. Um, as I started, I knew it was important for me with my weight loss to treat it as an addiction and to stay away from the foods that I felt to be addictive, right? So I really focused on lean proteins and green vegetables for quite a long time. Most of my protein coming from fish. And I would say main reason, not because I don't love red meat, and I do, and I'm an advocate of it, but it is a trigger for me. And I could easily sit down and eat a 2 pound steak and then, go on to the bread and then go on to the potato and then go on to the cream spinach and then go on to the dessert and then go on to the alcohol that comes after that and then go back into the cycle of the food. So I stay out of it. So a big part of like how I react to certain foods is finding thinking about what foods made me the happiest and then not eating those foods. Because food isn't about being happy, food is about fueling my body and understanding that. So that was step one. And I'm not going to go into the long list of which foods those triggers are. Everyone's a little bit different, and mine are different than Robert's or David's. And then in regards to exercise or movement, initially I thought that cardio was the key for me. Um, I thought that riding a Peloton or walking on incline would get me to where I needed to be and help me achieve fitness goals. And really, it didn't make me feel good, which is kind of funny. When I started lifting weights, and I mean initially, even the smallest amount of weight, um, I felt more engagement. I found something that I really enjoyed. And again, it may be part of that obsessive compulsive, issue that I deal with, but it was the reps, it was the counting, it was the focus on form, it was the progressive overload, it was the strategy, it was the workout split, it was everything about it just felt more constructive to me, and became a big part of the foundation of my health.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you.
So, David, as you said before, Jonathan told us about his journey a little bit. You said that we're a little bit
yeah,
farther than you, but we know from talking that you've actually had some huge level of success over the last
sure, yeah.
45 days. And I think that you, from our conversations, credit that to changing how you work out.
I've made a lot of changes over the last 2 months that I've seen tremendous dividends. There's this idea that you lose weight by being in a calorie deficit. Yes, that's true. Um, but you don't necessarily lose weight by being in a drastic calorie deficit. And the greater that deficit is, the more screwed up your body's going to get in the long run. Your metabolism is going to change. You're going to change. You're not going to have energy to do anything. You're not going to feel good. So, I was put on a really low calorie diet for someone my size. And for the past 6 months after I had my surgery, I was seeing, 1-2 pounds a week losing weight. I hooked up with you guys. I hooked up with some other folks. I put a plan together that involved getting some quantifiable data. I had a DEXA scan, an RMR. I tracked what I ate, and I realized that, just to live, I needed 1,400 calories a day more than I was getting. It's just not sustainable. So I said, all right, this in my brain, which, to Jonathan's point, we have broken brains, right? Like we're addicts. It doesn't make sense. In my broken brain, the idea of giving myself more calories isn't going to yield more weight loss. But in 6 weeks, I went from 1,300 calories to almost 2,000 calories a day, and went from 80 to 100 grams of protein to 180 to 220. I don't eat a lot of carbs. I eat what I call organic carbs, like fruits, vegetables. That's it. And I changed from doing, a half hour to an hour of the elliptical machine or the Peloton to 20 minutes of walking up a hill on an incline and weight training. And in the month of March, I lost, I think, 16 pounds when I implemented it. I mean, I had 3 weeks where it was like it was 4.5, 5 pounds a week. And I was just sitting there going, this is a joke. Like, if somebody in my nutritionist's office, my doctor's office, someone off the street had told me this from the get-go, I don't know that I would have believed it, but I also don't know that I would have had those weeks saying like, this is really going to take 2 years to do, like, to drop all this weight. Like, it's going to take 2-3 years of seeing 1 pound a week, and I'm killing myself in the gym. So, yeah, I think that, calorie deficit's a must, but also finding what works for you and not starving yourself. Starvation is not a long-term success.
No, and you know what? I'm very proud to hear you say that. You say it out loud, and I hope you believe it. I think sometimes
100%.
I can't. No, no. In all seriousness, David and Robert, I don't know that I could even say it, and I was an advocate of the advice to you,
Yeah.
right? At my most comfortable, Dave, Robert, you're laughing because you know exactly where I'm going with this, right? But David, funny enough, I've got 10 years on you, right? And it's 10 years of experience and 10 years of pain probably that you didn't get
Yeah.
to experience. Um, but my happiest moments are the days that I'm not eating. So, the fact that you found it at 41 years old to find that you can eat and you can exercise and you can be healthy, is great,
Yeah.
right? For me, you put me on a fast day and I'm super happy. You put me on 3 fast days and I think I've accomplished the world. It's a problem, right? So good for you that you got it together and you figured it out.
Do you deliberately fast as part of your diet or because
No,
you're
no, no,
just...
no. I don't fast at all. What I'm saying is that you just said, I found that I could eat food and be
It
happy,
is so
and I'm
hard.
saying to you, I haven't really, even me in my journey, a couple years out, I haven't found that yet. I have a tremendous amount of regret that's attached to eating the food, and I'm least regretful when I feel hunger.
Fair
That's how it
enough.
goes.
Yeah, no.
Everyone's
I
different.
mean, it is a huge, I mean, at least for me, the weight loss and trying to have a healthier life is 70% nutrition, 20% what happens in the gym, right? Because if you don't fuel it yourself, you can't function. But 100% of it is mental. And I find myself making adjustments every day to what I'm eating, what I'm thinking, telling myself, hey man, you're 6'5" and you weigh 290 pounds. Like, you're not going to get away eating 1,200 calories a day, even though you want to not eat. Like, you have to do this because it's the only way that you are going to see the results that you want. I mean, I could starve myself, and when I hit my target number and be happy and say, okay, I'm just going to maintain and exist, and my metabolism is going to be so fucked up that when that happens, I'm going to crash and burn, and I'm not going to be able to burn anything ever, and I'm going to have a whole different set of problems. So, yeah, I'm happy that I can eat, but I have to tell myself every single day, like, yes, it is okay that you are eating this. Yeah,
Yeah, the psychosis that we all go through is absolutely intriguing to me. The fact that you hear Jonathan, who has had tremendous success over the last, 24 months or longer. You said 24 months, 36 months,
24.
24 months,
Yeah.
24 months, 24 months. A tremendous amount of success, but still fights the battle every day that you know when he's not hungry, he's happier than when he's hungry because again, food is still has a bad stigma for him about what his health and how he felt many
yeah,
years for many years earlier. Where David, you're looking at yourself that food was the simple pleasure that got out of control, and then you had cancer, and that takes and does a number
sure.
on you, and that increases everything else, and before you know it, now you're looking at you go from one extreme to the next, and so with that being said, I'm so happy for the success that
Thank
you
you.
are finding. But with all the information around diet and exercise, right? Outdated cookie cutter methods, weight loss plans from some in the medical profession
Sure.
that kind of loop everybody into the same category, regardless of what your activity level is. Um, and then the basic food ideologies from your upbringing, influencers on social media, things of that nature. What have you found to be the most valuable resource thus far in your journey?
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay. Yeah, and that's a legitimate answer. YouTube. Okay,
It's a very
perfect.
honest answer. It really is. I found so much good information on YouTube about nutrition and exercise, and not following the norms, right? Not following a Weight Watchers plan, or not following a nutritionist plan, or it just gave me a bit of a broader horizon and gave me the opportunity to kind of scroll through.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to this as having been a bariatric patient, and um, my surgeon's got a nutritionist, a shrink, like she's got the whole clinic there. And at my 6 month checkup, that's when they put me on 1,200 calories. They bumped me up to 1,200. It's like, you guys know, like I'm in the gym like 3 or 4 days a week for like a couple hours at a time. Like I'm not just walking like 20 minutes a day. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So you're just going to eat this and you're going to do this. I was like, yes, but that's not what I'm doing. And it took me a while, and it took me until I started to say, there's something that's not working here. And it took me meeting you guys, and it took me doing my own homework to realize that, like, they're putting me through a program. And what they want is they want to say, we had this high risk patient that we didn't really want to do, but he went through our program and he was a success. And so we can say we have, expertise in getting people through. But not everybody's goals are the same. And not everybody wants to do what we're doing. And not everybody wants to put in the time, the effort, and have the discipline to go to the gym. Like some people would say, hey, I weighed 425 pounds when I had surgery. Me. I weigh 290 today. My surgeon's goal for me is 280 pounds in 2 years. Great. I'm 10 pounds away. I'm confident I'm going to get there. Right? You know what? I have a plan of eating that they've given me that works. I'm happy. I'm so much healthier. I can function. I have mobility. I don't have to worry if I'm going to die or not. I'm done. And just go and live a happy life. And that's great. That's for some people, but that's not for everybody. And so when you come and you have a doctor who's supposed to be guiding you through this, like we put value in our doctors and things like that, it's terribly discouraging when you're saying, hey, what you're doing is fine, but it's a tremendous disconnect from where I'm at, and we need to adjust some things. And then you come to the point where you're like, you know what? The hell with her. Like, I'm just gonna. She got me through surgery, and I was a success, and she saved my life. but that doesn't mean that I can only go by the path that she knows is going to work for everyone.
Well, yeah, it is the grand experiment, I'd like to call it. You know, we said this a couple times on this one. It is very much a mental game with a physical
Yeah.
attribute, but you know, I like to say it's 90% mental, 10% physical. The hurdles that you have are not going to be in the gym. The gym is going to be a safe space for you to learn and observe and watch and try new things and test your limitations
Yeah.
however you feel comfortable. But it's the gym is only a small portion of your day, right? The rest of it's whether it be at work
Whatever.
or at home or in your in your
Yeah.
normal day to day life that you have to figure out how to navigate when so many things and I would say that most things revolve around food and alcohol. Socialization usually revolves
Yep.
around food and alcohol, and so when you know that you have a problem with either one of them, whether it be
Or both.
from I drink too much or I eat too much, or to your point, David, both, you have to figure out how to engage the mental fortitude necessary to overcome your own deliberating
Yeah.
disease that's in your head. And it is a disease because you have to figure out what are my triggers, to Jonathan's point, and then how do I navigate those triggers without alienating or ostracizing half the people that I know because they just don't understand internally what I'm
Ah,
going
fuck
through.
them.
And I think
Well,
That's
you, you know that's a perfect thing because that's kind of here how we're at. What did Jen say the other day? Expectations are the seed of sadness
truth.
and sorrow.
yeah.
And you look at that, and you think, why is not drinking one of the only disease-causing elements that you have to explain to somebody why you don't do it? You know, oh, you smoke, that's nasty. Oh, you do this, that's nasty. You don't drink? Why don't you have a drink? Have a shot, have a drink, have a beer. It's fine, you know. And it's almost like this peer pressure, but yet that is probably one of the worst diuretics. I mean, it's a diuretic, but it's a poison. So your body individually reacts to that poison and stops the processes of your body of trying to take and heal yourself and focuses on trying to get rid of the toxin. So it's crazy to me that that is kind of where we're at. But you know, to your point, Jonathan, fuck them.
Fuck them.
It's
That's
about it's
exactly
about
right.
it's about
I'll find
yourself.
people.
It's about not putting yourself in a place where you have to compromise what's important to you. And it's not about motivation, it's about discipline. This is all about discipline. You might be motivated, you might want to do the work, you might want to achieve certain goals, but that only takes you so far. To do it every day is discipline.